There's a moment in adulthood that nobody warned you about it. It doesn't happen when you turn 18. It doesn't happen when you get your first job or your first apartment or your first bill. No, it happened quietly, usually late at night, when life becomes still for a moment and suddenly you realize that nobody is coming to rescue you. Not your friends, not your family, not the society, no motivation or luck. You. Yes, not motivation, not luck, but you is on you now. And for many people, that realization is terrifying because as children, most of us grew up believing life will eventually make sense on its own. That one day, confidence would arrive, direction would arrive, clarity would arrive. But that eventually we would feel ready. But adult introduces you to truth so uncomfortable that many people spend years trying to avoid it. Your life does not change because you are capable. It changes when you become responsible. And those are not the same thing. Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Aniche. And over years, through courtroom, through public speaking, through pressure, through watching human beings rise and collapse under difficult situations, I've noticed something fascinating. Most adults are not destroyed by lack of intelligence. They are destroyed by avoidance. Yes, avoidance of responsibility, avoidance of discomfort, avoidance of difficult decision, avoidance of confronting themselves honestly. And the frightening part is avoidance really looks dangerous in the beginning. It looks totally harmless. You say, I'll start next month. You say, I just need more time. You say, I still am figuring things out. Sounds reasonable, but meanwhile, life keeps moving quietly, relentlessly, and believe you realize it, months disappear, then years. You keep delaying the gym, delaying the business, delaying the healing, delaying the difficult conversation, delaying the version of yourself you know you could become. And one day you wake up exhausted by life that you have helped create through hesitation. That is one of the adult cruelest lessons because nobody really teaches you that small delays compound. People think destruction is dramatic. Unfortunately, it isn't. Usually, it's subtle. And conversations you avoided, a skill you postponed learning, an opportunity you talked yourself out of, a fear you keep feeding instead of confronting. That's how potential quietly disappears. Not through lack of talent, but through lack of prolonged hesitation. Yeah, through prolonged hesitation. And maybe this hits deeply because part of you already know it. You sit down to work, then reach for your phone. You think about posting the video, then convince yourself it isn't good enough. You rehearse conversations in your mind, but never actually speak. You keep saying one day, but adult teaches you something painful about one day. One day can quietly become never. And that hurts, especially when you know you're capable of or more. Because deep down, most people already know where they are, abandoning themselves. They know that's why distraction have become so valuable in the modern life. Because distraction help people avoid confronting the gap between who they are and who they could become. And eventually, that gap becomes painful to live with. I learned this in an uncomfortable way myself. I remember periods of pressure where excuses stopped, sounding intelligent, moments where life demanded performance whether emotions were ready or not. Courtroom taught me that very quickly. Pressure does not care how talented you are. Pressure exposes what you practiced. The courtroom reveals everything. Your preparation, your discipline, your emotional control, your ability to think deeply under stress. And adulthood works exactly the same way. Life eventually places everybody under their pressure. Financial pressure, emotional pressure, psychological pressure. And in those moments, you do not magically rise into a new person. You fall to the level of your habits. Yes, that's habit. That is why discipline matters so much, because discipline carries you when emotion collapses. And emotion do collapse sometimes. There will be mornings you feel tired, confused, unmotivated, doubtful. Days where your confidence disappears, but adulthood keep you moving anyway. Bills continues, time continues, opportunity continues. That is why emotional discipline. People separate themselves from the crowd. Not because life became easier for them, but because they stopped negotiating with discomfort. They change everything, and social media rarely tells people this part. It shows the reward without showing the repetition. People see confidence but not the years of awkwardness. They see success but not the lonely season. They see powerful communicators but not the thousands of nervous repetition behind the scene. But real growth is rarely glamorous in the beginning. It's repetitive, doing the hard things over and over again, showing up when nobody claps, practicing when results are invisible, continuing when doubts is loud. That's adulthood. Understanding that your future is built in ordinary moments nobody else sees. And maybe the hardest part of adulthood is realizing nobody is tracking your wasted potentials except you. There is no alarm that goes off, no alarm message appears. Life simply keeps moving while your excuses slowly becomes your identity. That thought should disturb you, because there are brilliant people living average lives simply because they became addicted to comfort. And comfort is dangerous. Comfort disappears things that sounds fine. Rest a little bit longer. Wait until you feel ready. Start next year. You still have time. But comfort is a liar, because time moves whether you move or not. And eventually someone less talented but more disciplined built the life you kept postponing. Not because they were chosen, but because they were willing to begin before they felt fully prepared. That is adulthood. Realizing that nobody owes you potential. And strangely, that truth becomes liberating once you accept it. Because the moment you stop waiting for rescue, you reclaim power. And the moment you stop blaming everyone else, you regain direction. The moment you accept responsibility for your life finally begins to respond to you differently. That is where transformation begins. Not with motivation, with ownership. So stop waiting for another version of yourself to appear. The fearless version, the perfectly confident version, the fully healed version is you now. That person is built through action, not discovered magically. Speak before you feel fully ready. Start before your condition becomes perfect. Move while uncertainty still present, because confidence is usually the reward for action, not the requirement for it. And one day, you will either become the person your younger self hoped for, or you spend the rest of your life explaining to yourself why you never did it. And that conversation is far more painful than failure itself. Get that?